Hi everyone and welcome to the Stitch Sessions. Are you ready for a cute, sweet, and quick tutorial today? Valentine's Day is just around the corner and I know a lot of times people are looking for heart-themed crochet ideas, and I've done a few crochet heart appliques in the past, and I'll leave a link for those in the description box down below. But I'm always looking for different ways to create this shape. So this year, I've kind of been fiddling around with a very basic design using mostly single crochets, and then we've got a few double crochets up here at the top. So I thought this would be a really sweet embellishment on maybe like a child's hat or scarf, or you can even add this on your lapel of your coat if you like to get into the festive season of all the holidays. I find that a lot of times with school teachers as well, they like to add things like this to their coats or their jackets just to kind of get in the spirit with the kids as well. Or if you just happen to be the type person who really just likes to get into the general spirit of things, you can add this to your jacket, hat, scarf, mittens. That's also another cute place you can add this as well. Or you can add it to a blanket, all kinds of things, a pillow. So these are very, very versatile. And like I said, with the holiday coming upon us, I thought this might be a really fun project to do, and it's super quick, so you can do quite a few of these. Now you might notice that these look like they are in different sizes, but they're pretty much done the exact same way, except for this one here. I did do an extra round at the end, which I'll explain in the tutorial. These two are done exactly the same way, but the yarn for this one, it was just slightly thinner, even though these were both a lightweight number 3 yarn. So it just goes to show you that not all yarn weights are created equal. But I still think you're going to find this easy enough if you're a beginner and very interesting if you're a little bit more experienced. So let's get started. So first of all, let's talk about what we're going to need to create our hearts. So the yarn I'm going to be using for this project is this lovely silky bamboo yarn, which is how I created these hearts right here. And it is Peyton's, I think it's just called Peyton's Silk Bamboo. I'll put a graphic up here on the screen. I've lost the label to this, but it is a lovely yarn. I've done many projects with this. In fact, one of the first projects I did with this yarn was the bridal shawl way back in 2019, much sooner than when I did the Year of the Bride crochet series, and it was done using the flower stitch. Now I did most of that in Premier's Cotton Fair yarn, but I embellished it with this pink silk yarn, and I know so many of you loved that shawl. I'll also put a link to that in the description box down below. It's just chain stitches, but it creates a gorgeous, gorgeous effect. So that was the first project I ever used this yarn on, and I like it. I like it a lot. It's very soft. It's silky. It's a little pricey, so if you're going to do like a whole sweater or something with it, be prepared to spend quite a bit. So I still have some of this here. So this is what we're going to use. It is a lightweight number 3. And for the hook size, I am going to use a 5mm hook, which is also known as an H or a size 8, if you go by those labels. Also make sure that you have a yarn needle on hand to sew in your ends and a handy pair of scissors as always. So are you ready to crochet your heart? Let's do it. So this heart is created using mostly single crochet stitches. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off by placing a slip knot on our hook, just like that. And then we're going to chain 2. So we have 1 and 2, just nice and relaxed like that. What we want to do next is we want to go back into the first chain and single crochet. So this is very, very small here and tight. So that is technically row number 1. So our slip knot is the point, and that's row number 1. Now we're going to go on to row number 2. So what we're going to do is we're going to chain 1. We're going to turn, and then we're going to work back into that original single crochet, which is right there. It can be a little tricky to see at the beginning, so you just might have to pack your patience a little bit. Into this single crochet, we're going to place 2 single crochets. So we are increasing the number of stitches. So we have 1, we go back in the same one, and we have 2. So now you can see your work looks like a little bit like a V. So now, row number 3, we're going to increase our stitch count again. So we're going to chain 1 and we're going to turn. And into the first stitch here, we're going to place 2 single crochets. So we have 1, and then back again, we have 2. And don't worry if it's kind of looking a little bit lacy, that will just add to the effect. Now we have 1 more stitch here, so we're going to do the same thing. We're going to place 2 single crochets into that same stitch. So now we have 4 single crochets at the end of row number 3. So you can see how the point is being formed. So this heart is being worked from the bottom and moving our way up. Let's go on to row number 4. Now this is where things will change a little bit. You're going to chain 1, turn your work, and into the very first stitch you will place 2 single crochets like we've been doing. So we have 1 and we have 2. And now into the next 2 stitches, you're only going to place 1. So we have 1 and we have 2. So we only want to increase now on the outside edge of our heart there. So we have 1 more stitch left. So into the last stitch, which is right there, we're going to place 2 single crochets. And there's our second one. So now row number 4 is complete and we have 6 stitches in total, okay? And you can still see where our point is. So let's go on to round number 5, which is the last round before we start rounding off our heart. So you'll chain 1 and turn your work. And then back into the first stitch. Again, we are going to place 2 single crochets. And then into each of the next 4 stitches is just 1 single crochet. So you have 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then we've come upon our last one and we do 2 into the first stitch and the last stitch. So how many stitches do we have now at the end of round number 5? You should have 8 stitches in total, okay? So this is as far as we're gonna go for the bottom part of our heart. And now what we're gonna do is we're gonna start to curve those top edges there. This is the really fun part. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna chain 1 and we're gonna turn. And this is where we're gonna use some double crochet stitches. Now, what you're gonna do is you're gonna skip the next stitch. So remember, this first stitch technically belongs to that chain 1, so we don't even count that. So you're gonna skip this next stitch and into the following stitch, we are going to place 4 double crochet stitches. So that means you're gonna yarn over first, skip this stitch into the next one, and you are going to double crochet. And then we have a second one right back into the same stitch. And then we've got 2 more to go. So we have the third one and we have the 4th one. Look at that. Now you can see how the arch is starting to form. And so what we're going to do next is we're going to skip this stitch, and into the next stitch we are going to single crochet again. So this helps to round out our little shell stitch there. See that? It's probably hard to tell just yet. Let's do it again. So we're going to go on to the second side now. We are going to skip the next stitch, and into the following stitch we're going to do 4 double crochets again. Okay, just like that. And then you have one stitch left. So all we're going to do is we are going to slip stitch into that last stitch. And that kind of bends those stitches down so that they curve. Just like that. So now your basic heart shape has been formed, but you can see it's kind of a little bit wonky. It's a little bit rough around the edges. So we're going to clean that up with a trim round. So our heart technically is 6 rows in height. And now we're going to work in the round and work our way around the heart. So let's do it. So now we're going to work down along the side of your work. It can be a little tricky because you don't really have stitches to work into. So we're going to chain 1 and right back into where you slip stitched, we are going to single crochet. Okay. And then we're going to place 1 single crochet into the side of each row that we've worked. So I can see here, this is the last row. So I'm going to single crochet. And then I'm going to go into the next row. And then I'm going to go into the following row. And then I have this last row here. Now, it gets really funny here. Once we get to the last row, because this is where our slip knot is, and that's where the point of our heart is. What we want to do is we want to place 2 single crochets. So I've done 1, so we're going to place another 1. And then we're going to chain 2, 1 and 2. And that's going to help shape the point of the bottom of our heart. I'm just going to put that tail behind there. Then we go back into that same stitch and we're going to place 2 more single crochets. I'm going to see if I can work over some of that tail. So we have 1 and we have 2. So now we're coming up the side. Now you can see the edge is a little bit cleaner, yeah? And the bottom point of our heart has been formed. So then we do the same thing coming up the way here into the side of each row. So this is the second row. And that is the third row. I'm going to try to nestle it in there. And then this is the 4th row. And then this is the 5th row here where we started our double crochets. Look at that. Look at how cleaner that looks, right? Okay, so we're coming up around the bend here. And what we want to pay attention to is where those 4 double crochets are. So these are the 4 double crochets coming out there. So I'm going to continue into the side here. I'm going to do 1 single crochet. But then when I'm getting ready to work into these double crochets, I'm going to place 2 stitches into each. So this is the first stitch of those double crochets. So I have 1 and I have 2. So remember, we're trying to create a curve, and that means that we need to increase the number of stitches to gently go around the curve. Into the second of those double crochets, I'm going to place 2 single crochets. And also into the third stitch, I'm going to place 2 single crochets. Okay. Now what I'm going to do here is into the 4th of these, I am actually just going to slip stitch. Just like that. Look at how pretty that is. Now, where we had slip stitched previously, we will slip stitch again. So you're going right down into the dip there. And then coming out, you see we have our 4 double crochets here. So we're going to mirror what we just did here. So the first one this time is going to get a slip stitch. And then the next 3 will get the increase. So in the next stitch here, I'm going to place 2 double crochets, 1 and 2. And in the next one, I have 2 double crochets, 1 and 2. And then I have 1 more here, and I'm going to place 1 and 2. And you'll notice we come right back up to the beginning of where we began stitching, and all you want to do is slip stitch to join. And your basic heart is complete. Wasn't that easy? And look at how much neater it is once we do that finishing round. Super pretty, right? So this one, pretty comparable to this one. Now, if you wanted to create yours a little larger, you can do an additional round. And that's what I did in this one. And at the top, I actually used some half double crochet stitches. So if you want to see how to make your heart just slightly bigger, then stick around for round number 2. Okay, so for round number 2 of our trim here is we are going to chain 1. And this time we're going to skip. We're not going to single crochet back into the same stitch. We're just going to go into the very next stitch and we are going to single crochet. Okay? And that is what we're going to do all the way down to our point here. So we have 1, we have 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, now we've got our chain 2 space. It's a little bit tight, but there it is. So in that chain 2 space, we are going to place 1 single crochet, chain 2, and another single crochet back into that chain space there. So those chain 2s always help give us a nice little point there. Look at that. And then we continue to do 1 single crochet into each of the next 5 stitches going back up. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now this is where it gets interesting. So what we're going to do next is we are going to skip this stitch, and into the following stitch we are going to half double crochet. So you're going to yarn over and you're going to insert your hook into the next stitch and you're going to half double crochet. And you're actually going to place 2 half double crochets here. So you're going to yarn over again and half double crochet. Okay, so you've got 2 half double crochets there. Into the next stitch, you're only going to do 1 half double crochet. Into the next, you're going to do 2. So we're alternating our increases here. And then again, into the next one, we're going to do 1, half double crochet. So the half double crochet is just giving us a little bit more height and allowing for more shaping. And 2 into the next. So we have 1 and 2. So we've repeated this 3 times. 2, 1, 2, 1, and 2. And into the next stitch, we are going to do 1. So now we're starting to come around our curve here. So we are actually going to go into the next stitch and we are going to do a single crochet. So we want to shape down. So we're going to single crochet into the next stitch. So the next stitch, what we're going to do is we're going to skip that stitch, and into the following stitch, which is a little center there, we are going to slip stitch. So we're going to skip this stitch and slip stitch into that stitch there. You may have to help it through because we're slip stitching into a slip stitch, just like that. And so by skipping that stitch, it's creating that nice, beautiful shape. Look at how pretty that is. And we skip that stitch here, so again, it's creating that nice shape. So now we're going to repeat everything we did here. So we are going to now skip the next stitch, and we are going to single crochet into the following stitch there. So we have a single crochet. Then into the next stitch, we have 1 half double crochet. because we're mirroring what we just did on the other side. So the thing about this yarn is it's very splitty, even though it's very pretty. So there's one. Into the next, we're going to do 2. So this is where we're alternating our increases. So we have 1 and we have 2. And then we have 1 into the next one. And then into the next one, we have 2 half double crochets. So these are all half double crochets now. And then we've got another stitch, which is 1 half double crochet. And then we've got one more stitch here, so we have 2 half double crochets. So this is where we slip stitch, but remember we skipped a stitch over here. So we're going to work into this one to make it nice and even. So we have 1 and we have 2. And that brings us to that skip stitch. So all we're going to do is we're going to slip stitch into that to join the round. And your heart is complete. So now you've got a substantial size, and look at that beautiful shaping around. Now where you slip stitch to join, sometimes it creates a little bit of a bump, but I'm just going to show you a little trick I have. I'm going to snip my yarn here. And I'm going to take my yarn needle, if I can find it, there it is. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to pull this slip stitch out for a moment. Okay, so I just have the end of that last half double crochet stitch. And I just want to pull that yarn right out. Okay, and many of you have seen me do this anytime I've done like projects in the round, certain granny projects, sometimes I will do this too. So it's kind of like a magical join. And so I am going to, I've threaded my yarn needle here. Now where I did slip stitch before, what I'm going to do is I'm going to insert my needle there under the stitch. I'm going to pull it through gently, a little bit snug. And then I'm going to come back into this previous stitch and go in through the top. See that? These? I'm going to go in through the top and down the center of that stitch. And what that does is it creates the illusion of another stitch, and no one is the wiser. Look at how that blends in. No one is the wiser as to where your round stopped and started. Now, I wouldn't leave it like that because it is a bit loosey-goosey. So let me just rethread this here. So you've created this really pretty join. It looks just like a stitch. And now what I want to do is I want to come in here, and right next to it is insert there. And that solidifies it as a regular little stitch there. Okay. And then of course you're going to weave it in to the back and all the way through so you can secure it. So you can see that now your edge looks very uniform with these guys here. So it's kind of like a little fake stitch. And there you have it. That is your basic heart shape applique. What do you think? I told you it was quick. Now, do you think it was as easy as I said it was going to be? I hope so. The cool thing about doing these rounds around the edge is you can kind of hide any little bump or imperfection. And that's what I love about creating the heart in this fashion. So let me know what you think. Leave me a comment in the comment box down below. Do you find this heart shape pretty easy, or do you prefer a couple of the other ones that I've done in the years past? I'm curious to see how you would rank these heart motifs. Now, if you have any questions about this applique, make sure to leave it for me in the comment box down below. I'm always very happy to answer any questions or clarify anything that you may need clarification on. And as always, I know a lot of you like to email me directly, so feel free to send me an email at info@crochetcrafty.com. And as always, I invite you to come check out the website, crochetcrafty.com. Always some fantastic goodies there for you. It's a great resource tool, lots of sizing charts and things like that, a lot of free written patterns. So make sure to sign up for my newsletter, by the way, because you'll always be the first to receive the free written pattern. And you'll be the first to know on any new and exciting things going on. And if you'd like to support the channel a little further, you can check out some of the patterns that I have on my Etsy shop at Crochet Crafty Canada. And as always, you can come say hi to me. I'm on Instagram at The Stitch Sessions. I am on Facebook as well at The Stitch Sessions, but I tend to spend more time on Instagram. So make sure to tag me in your heart on Instagram there and let me see how your hearts came out. So that's it for me today, and I hope that you will have fun making your heart appliques, and I hope you have a great Valentine's Day coming up. There's actually a tutorial coming out on Valentine's Day. So I will see you on Valentine's anyway. But in the meantime, have a wonderful day. I wish you happy crocheting. Take good care of yourselves. And I will see you guys in next week's session. Bye-bye.